Welcome everybody, welcome to Weight Watchers Online. We have another great recipe for you today. My name is John Cleese and we are going to be doing a spinach souffle and a simple chicken breast with some sauteed onions on it. The great thing about this meal is it's only 6 points or about 269 calories, totally packed with protein. In fact, there's 38 grams of protein on this, so it's a really great way to maximize those points. Let's just go over the ingredients a little bit. I've got about 10 ounces of fresh baby spinach here. I've got chicken breast cut into 4 and 6 ounce pieces, depending on what it is that you want to follow with your plan. The recipe that I have calculated for the points is based on a 4 ounce piece of raw chicken. I've got pecorino romano. You're going to need some cornstarch, some garlic, nutmeg. Recipe calls for skim milk. I actually like to use the almond milk. It's a little bit lower fat and a little bit more higher in protein. I've got a couple tablespoons of breadcrumbs. I've got 4 eggs, and I've got an onion and some salt and pepper. So great dish for you. And again, for those that are tuning in for the first time, you know that I've lost 50 pounds on the Weight Watchers diet. And of course, it's a lifelong thing, but it doesn't mean that you have to eat boring food. You can eat delicious food and still stay trim or lose the weight that you want to take off. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and start. We're going to prepare the pan first. I'm going to go ahead and use some of this spray. I'm going to spray the pan generously. And this is just so that we can cough and I can get my glasses dirty. But no, we're going to actually take now 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. These are those nice panko Japanese breadcrumbs. And we're just going to stick those in the bottom of the pan so it makes like a little bit of a crust for us. So I'm going to heat up a pan. You can use a non-stick if you want to, but I'm not. Okay. Oh, I was doing the rear. It helps if you light the right burner. So I'm going to put this on medium. I'm just going to do a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. I'm going to heat that up. And while that's getting started, I like a lot of garlic, so this recipe only calls for a couple of cloves. You can see I've got a lot more than that. I'm actually going to put in probably 6 cloves of garlic. So I'm just going to crush this up very quickly. You can mince this if you want to. Every kitchen needs to have a great garlic press. Now, one of the things you want to do is before that oil or before your pan gets too hot, you want to put the garlic in the pan. You want it hot enough so that it doesn't stick, so that's just a minute or 2, but cool enough that we can still flavor the pan, and you don't want these too crunchy. So I'm going to stick this in the pan. I'm going to turn this up a little bit higher to high, because all I'm going to do is really flavor this oil with the garlic. And again, even if you don't use a non-stick pan, it's fine. As long as your metal pan is hot, you're good. So let me show you. I'm not going to brown it. It's just a little bit of sizzling going on. All it is, it's just, you can really smell it. You're starting to release the garlic. And I'm going to put the spinach in before this gets a chance. Ooh, the vapors are coming up. Before it gets a chance to get too brown. I'm going to put all 10 ounces of spinach in at once. This pan has a lid, so it'll help it shrink. And again, I've still got it on high, and the spinach is going to release a lot of moisture, and there's going to be a lot left in as well after it cooks, and we're going to have to squeeze that out. You can either squeeze the spinach through paper towels, but I'm actually going to put it on this, I'm going to actually use this colander for that. So that only took about a minute and a half. We're not going to be as wilted as you've seen other spinaches, but this is what it looks like. This is just about where you want it, because we're going to actually end up blending this in the blender. And you can see the garlic, it's nice, the garlic didn't stick to the pan. The garlic is still white, although we just sauteed it enough to take sort of the raw edge off of the garlic. So now I'm going to put I'm going to put the spinach, in here. And we're going to cook our chicken breast in this pan too. Now, as this cools, it starts to release the moisture, but you're going to need to squeeze this out. So I'm going to just press this up here for now. Remember, the more you spread something out, the cooler it gets. It gets cool faster. So the recipe says to do this between paper towels, but I think that's sort of gets messy. So you can either use a rubber spatula like I'm doing, or if you ever have like those sushi paddles is nice because you just sort of got this nice wide surface just to squeeze the juice out of. It's still a little too hot to pick up with my hands, so I'm just going to set this off to the side for a moment and let that cool. We are going to, so the spinach and the milk, all of this is going to go into the blender. So, and that's where we're going to blend it, and then we're simply going to add the egg whites, and we're going to fluff it up. Now, for the egg whites, oh, I should mention, you are going to need a blender and your mixer. I'm going to put the yolk into, I'm going to use the egg white. I'm using 4 eggs. So I'm going to do 4 egg whites here. You're basically using 3 egg whites and 4 egg whites, but the yolk of one of the eggs goes into the spinach mixture. So that's going to go off to the side. Now, let's do the rest of the egg whites. What I love about this spinach dish, it reminds me of Stouffer's Spinach Souffle. When I was a kid, I used to love them. Whenever my mother had me on a diet, I was allowed to eat the Stouffer's Spinach Souffle. Okay, all right, that's it. I'm not going to use these yolks. I'm going to go rinse my hands off. I'm going to set these aside for now. We're not going to worry about these. But into this egg yolk mixture is going to go the milk. 1 cup of almond milk has 5 grams of protein in it, which is nice. I don't think it's going to affect the flavor that much. And then I'm going to put in my 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I've got about 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. I need to do the nutmeg as well. And I just want to show you, get the fresh nutmeg. It's much better. And I'm just going to use my little microplaner. And you can use as much as you want. This recipe calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's more than 1/8 of a teaspoon, but I love nutmeg. It's this little bowl for the nutmeg. Okay, all right, so we got the nutmeg, and the cheese and the salt and pepper are going to go in after we blend up the spinach. But now that this has cooled a little bit, let's take it in with, let's get our hands in there. You're just going to squeeze it. And what I do is I sort of like, almost like you're pulling apart like pizza dough, or if you had like taffy, not that any of us are working with taffy, but sort of want to, like you're making like a bowl. All right, so I'm gonna put this into the blender. Now, well blended, I'm going to go ahead and add my, how much I got here? I got 1/3 of a cup of Pecorino Romano cheese. I got my salt and my pepper. And I'm going to add the nutmeg. This little contraption, if you don't have it for a cheese grater, you should get one of these. They're awesome. You just stick the little piece of cheese in here. I wanted to show you this. And then, especially when you're finishing, you just look how easy this is to just spin this around and get your cheese. Anyway, thought I would show you. All right, puree it again. And I should say this is actually going to serve, this spinach serves 6 people. You could get, you know, you can't get more out of it, but you could certainly do less. And get maybe, if you wanted, 4 big pieces out of it. But the recipe that I calculated is for cutting that square pan into 6 pieces. Now we're going to whip up our egg whites. Let's do our egg whites. We're not looking for the egg whites to be dry, so they're pretty stiff, but if I were to go much more, they're going to start to dry out a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit more. And again, that's really, for this recipe, I'll show you. That's good. They're not yet dry. Doesn't take much to get dry. Now, a little trick when you're doing the egg whites, and this is almost for all baking. You always want to take about a third of what you're going to put into your mixture. What you want to do with that is you just want to lighten the whole mixture getting ready to take the egg whites. And actually I can tell by the little lumps I probably beat them just a second too long. But that's okay. So now the mixture itself is ready to receive more of the egg whites. And what you want to do is just want to fold it around because you're lightening this spinach mixture. I probably should have put a little, you can put a little cream of tartar in with your egg whites if you want to. It makes it sometimes beat up a little bit better. And I am going across the top. I know it seems like I'm deflating a little bit, but I don't really want the lumps of. And the bigger your spatula, the easier it is for you to fold. And I can smell the nutmeg. Okay. So that's good for that. I'm gonna get my pan that we put with the breadcrumbs on the bottom, and then we're just gonna pour this into it. Smooth out the top a little bit. And I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit more of that cheese that we had. And that's it. So this is going to go into the oven for 35 minutes, and it should puff up nicely. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and cook up a bunch of breasts anyway, which is something you should do. It's a great way to stay on track with your food diet, is to cook your own meals, especially like on Sunday, cook your chickens and get those ready for the week. Here's a little trick with the pepper. If you've got chicken on your hands like I do, just wrap a paper towel around the pepper grinder. Get that done. Let's cut up this large onion, get that ready. So again, 3 minutes on medium-high. Just enough, you want them cooked enough so that they don't stick. And if they do stick, when I go to flip the chicken, I can just simply turn the heat up a little bit, or I can put the lid on it, and that'll put a little bit of moisture in the pan, and that'll loosen it up a little bit. Always remember to keep your fingers inside of the knife. Okay, so the chicken has been cooking for about 3 minutes. Let's see if I was correct. So we'll see if it's sort of unstick. I use these rubber-tipped either tongs or these little mini spatulas when I'm using my nice stainless steel pan. So there we go. See, so how easy, if your pan is hot and well greased, it doesn't stick. So you don't need to use a non-stick pan if you don't want to. All right, so now that's it. I flip those over, and then I'm just going to add the onions. And I'm going to make sure the onions go into the bottom, or touching the bottoms of the pan. I don't want them on top, I just want them on the bottom. I'm going to put it back on the stove. And I've got it on medium-high. I'm going to put the lid on it now. And I'm going to actually, let's see, we have another 28 minutes for the for the souffle. I'm going to put the chicken on, I'll put it on 10 minutes. I might check it if I think it's cooking too much. I'll just turn it down to low and let it sit there. So that's it, 10 minutes on the chicken. So then we'll wait and we'll have another 10 minutes of the souffle, and then we'll plate it up. And we're going to have a delicious meal. We'll be right back. All right, so our souffle has been in for 35 minutes. I'm going to put this on a little wire rack. And the center should be firm to the touch, which it is. So I'm going to turn off the oven. And so we're going to let this cool for 5 minutes here, but I want to show you, I turned off the chicken after about 10 minutes. Here's what it looks like. I've got a nice little onion flavored broth going with the chicken, and the chicken is done for sure, but it's been poached so it's not going to dry out. And let that cool, and then we will plate it up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a 4-ounce piece of chicken. And we've got some of this nice onions. Alright. And a little bit of the sauce. And it comes very easy out of the pan. And that's our spinach souffle. I love spinach. It's just a great way to eat it. And again, tons of protein. The spinach itself, each one of these spinach itself has 10 grams of protein in this. So let's go ahead and taste this. And you can see there's a little bit of the egg white that didn't totally get mixed in with it, but that's fine. It still did a pretty good job. Oh, that's really good. Use the nutmeg. The nutmeg is really key. Let's look at our chicken. And you can see the chicken is nice and moist. That's not dried out at all. And just take a little piece of this chicken. It's amazing just adding the onion. I always throw an onion on top when I grill it, when I saute chicken. Throw that on there, beautiful chicken broth, and the onion flavor, and it's delicious. So again, a really great meal to help you stay on your plan. Tune in every week to Weight Watchers Online, and we'll always be bringing you a great recipe to keep you moving forward and helping you get to your goal. I'm John Cleese, and we'll see you soon.